What's up, guys? Welcome to A Reseller's Life. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. I go by Daily Refinement online. For those of you who are just stopping by for the first time, I make a full-time living selling stuff online, but I want to get straight to the gist of this video, which is why I actually do not recommend reselling as an occupation. Even though it's my occupation, for most people, I do not recommend reselling as an occupation, and this is the reason why. It's not because of the reselling. Reselling is one of the only things that's not BS. All you have to do is find a pair of Gucci eyeglasses at the thrift store and sell it for more than you paid for it. That's it. There's no strings, there's no BS. You don't need to buy a course. The problem is all the other stuff involved with reselling, which is once you start scaling, storing it, once you've spent 4 or 5 hours a day finding stuff, going home, listing, shipping, you're pretty burned out. And for those people who think that all you have to do is double that part-time effort into a full-time income, it doesn't really work that way, because you lose productivity after the first 4 or 5 hours, and at that point you're just spinning your wheels and it's easy to burn out. I haven't seen really too many people crush all day long. There are some people that can do that. One guy, Tech and Sports, who people keep pointing out is a person that can do that. I'm just saying, for most people, they don't. Most people do not crush more than 4 or 5 hours a day. That's sort of the cap. So I recommend something slightly different, okay? And this is just my opinion. You don't have to listen to me. This is just a YouTube channel with my opinions. So my opinion is you should do the best you can with 20 or 30 hours a week, preferably 20, and get a consistent listing schedule going. If you have 50 to 100 items going up every single week, week in, week out, you are going to have consistent sales if you do this one thing, which is you spend at least 4 or 5 hours a week actually looking at the market of the items that you're selling are in. You can't just list this microphone without knowing what the market is. How do you have any idea how long it's going to take to sell this item? You have to pay attention to this specific market to have an idea of how long certain items are going to take to sell. You should know, if I lower this $10, it's going to sell instantly because there's a lot of them selling. You should know if you price it too high, you're never going to sell it because there's too many items that are similar in that market. You need to spend some time in the market, and you need to create a consistent listing schedule in 20 hours. This is why I recommend you keep your career job, not your day job, a career that's based on performance, where let's say you do more of what you're supposed to do, like you're in sales or you're in professional services, where the more you do, the more you get paid. That's what I'm talking about as far as a career. If you can get into the top 20% of whatever it is that you're doing, you will get paid a high income, and this side income can go straight into your retirement savings. And sooner or later, you're going to be in the position where you only have to work on projects that you like, and you never need to work for somebody else. Now, that being said, let's say you've already gone full-time and you want to make reselling your gig like myself. Same advice. You just spend 20 to 30 hours working on a set number of listings that you want to do, then spend the rest of the time working on stuff that's more scalable. Like, replenishable items are not an overnight thing. You need to research a specific thing, like these circular locks. These sell thousands of times every single day. Getting into this market is going to take some research. Where do these come from? Who distributes it? Can you make a similar one? Can you make a better one? That's not something that you can just immediately jump into. That's going to take potentially years of research to get into that. But during that years of research and time, you still need some cash flow coming in. That's why I recommend the best you can do in 20 hours a week. I've seen a ton of people, including like Hustle at Home Mom and a lot of people in my mastermind group, that just do it like 20 hours a week and earn $2,000 to $5,000 extra per month. And they know, energy wise, when you go all in, you do this full time, it is a beast. You've got to be very, very, very motivated. For the people that talk about going all in, I know a lot of these people who do this all day, every day. They're not only are they super motivated, they don't have a lot of distractions. Okay, they're not people that have a lot of baggage. You need a lot of energy in order to make this work. If there's a lot of stuff going on in your life and you're gonna try to add on a full-time entrepreneur into the things that you do each day, I just don't think it's gonna work. So my recommendation again, do this part-time, 20 hours a week. Try to make 2 to 5 grand by getting really good at a niche. Spend time looking at the market of each individual item you are selling so you're an expert. And then the off time, work on different projects that are scalable. I just spent $575 on a clothing lot that I can reorder once I set up the website. So I'm going to plug that onto my eBay store. I really like stores like Masha Silver. I'm going to plug her because she's a one-on-one client of mine. She manufactures all of her goods in the good old USA in New Mexico. I like that. I want to work with manufacturers that are in the States so I don't have to wait as long for the lead time. I'm going to have to put my energy and creativity into the marketing part of it to make this stuff sell for more than generic Chinese crap, right? So that's not something that's going to be fast. I can't reiterate that enough. I'm not in a hurry to do that, but I do have an existing reselling store that's big enough that it takes care of my existing bills. All these other projects that I'm doing, YouTube, running the mastermind call, coaching, private label products, these all come after my basic my quota, which is 150 items a week. And I'm recently married, and my wife basically said, as long as I get 150 listings up a week, I can do whatever I want, because that's going to pay the bills. That's going to make sure that we're financially okay while I pursue all these scatterbrained ideas that I always think about. So I look at the numbers of how reselling is working, and the majority of people are just doing this as a side hustle, and that's okay. Okay, don't let people shame you into saying, oh, you have to be huge, all in or nothing. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with half-assing it either. There's got to be room in the middle. But honestly, you can just do the unscalable. Okay, meaning you can just do bigger and bigger and more liquidation, closeouts. You can order pallets that come in bigger and bigger and more pallets, bigger and bigger and bigger, building more and more in place. There's really no end to that. You can go as big as you want. I'm just saying, maybe take a step back, look at doing something that's a little bit more enjoyable, okay, instead of just doing what's purely for the money. That's something that's really important to me, and I'm not just doing this for only money. I like the ability to build stuff that's handmade, stuff that's a little bit higher quality. I want people to thrift my stuff in the future, and it's actually worth something, right? When people buy my products and services, I want it to be of a higher value than just something generic. That's why like I have a guide on how to do reselling. It's $35. It's not $500 or $1,000, because I want it to be better than all those other people at a much better value. It really just depends on what you guys are trying to offer, what you're trying to build. But I'm just letting you know the reason why I have time to work on these other projects is I've already built this up to at least a part-time income, and I didn't even start reselling until reselling was never my full-time occupation until my other projects earned enough money I could give my concentration to reselling. I'm always a fan of multiple streams of income, but that being said, I would say just work on one at a time. I got a little bit too crazy in the beginning, and I was trying Amazon and eBay at the same time, and I really haven't seen too many people pull that off. I'd rather you do one, get it built up to a certain level, then do the other one. Doing them at the same time is slowing down both projects, and when I look at the results of that, most people end up failing in both. Just pick one to get to a certain level, and that level, I want it to work at 20 hours a week. My basic formula for that is 10 hours of sourcing or more, and the rest of the 20 hours listing, shipping, customer service, and researching solds. What that's going to mean is I'd rather you spend 15 hours sourcing and 5 hours listing, shipping, prepping, because the longer you source and the less you list, if you keep it within this 20-hour bubble, your ASP, or your average sale price, is going to go up. What I'm afraid of is the people that source for an hour, buy a bajillion things, come home, and honestly think to themselves they're going to list for 19 hours. That's not really how it works. Okay, I want you to take a step back. When you go out sourcing, be way more selective and be like, okay, I do not want to spend more than half of my time listing, because that's a brutal life. Okay, like you can, if you like that kind of life, you can just order lots all day online, spend 0 time sourcing. When it gets to your house, just go crazy and list 24/7. But honestly, I've done that before. I've had 7 people full-time listing. I hated my life. I've never seen as much profit and as much stress, and it's just really not that interesting. I'm looking for stuff that has a little bit more value than just flipping liquidated goods, but that value takes time to invent. You have to make it up. Okay, I have to make something that's unique and special and nobody else is selling, and then take advantage of that unique part in order to cut back on the work of scaling the unscalable. So again, I'm just going to summarize. The reason why I don't recommend reselling as an occupation is because of all the other stuff involved with reselling that's not just buying. Okay, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of hiring, there's a lot of process orientation. It's crazy. Okay, so I always recommend it as a side hustle. That's me. If you think it should be a full-time hustle and that's it, don't watch this channel. Okay, this channel is going to recommend you get a nice consistent bubble of income and then you work on your fortune on the side. That's what I'm going to recommend. That's also something that I want to say is super enjoyable for me. I really, really enjoy talking about reselling. I really, really enjoy what I consider having a very small shop. I really enjoy it. I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. I love selling things because I think it's the purest form of entrepreneurship. So hopefully this is motivating, guys, even though it's a little bit real, maybe too real for some people, but I appreciate your time. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care.